Hello, good morning and welcome to the next webinar in our What's New in Microsoft 365 series. Today is July's webinar and we'll be looking at the new releases that have come to Microsoft 365 in July and the others that are coming very, very soon. I'm Jennifer Benge, I am the Marketing Manager at Bedrock. Unfortunately, Mark is actually unable to join us today, so instead we are joined by Adam Plevin, who is Bedrock's Consultant IT Director. So thank you, Adam, for stepping in.
Hello, nice to be here again.
In today's webinar, we'll cover some of the newest features from, in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business. I will say now, don't feel like you need to take notes or be scribbling away or need to memorize everything immediately, because we will be sending out the recording of this webinar along with the fact sheet as well, just so you can get up to speed and implement the things that we're talking about as and when suits you. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. Starting off is probably the big ticket item, the most exciting thing, is PowerPoint Live Presenter View. So this is the new feature that's coming to PowerPoint via Teams and allows you to present in front of your content in a Teams meeting. Next up, we'll look at our favorite Outlook and Teams integrations, different things that you can do to sync content between the two to make your life easier. Then next up, again, another exciting one for me, is a scheduler for Microsoft 365, which allows you to schedule meetings without so much hassle. After that, we'll be looking at external group chat in Teams, which allows you to bring in external contractors or advisors into your Teams chat so everyone's on the same page with the conversation. And finally, we'll be looking at what is next and how you can implement these changes within your business and perhaps how Bedrock can help you to do that as well. So moving on to the PowerPoint Live Presenter View. Here you'll see there's two of me. This is on purpose. The video is one that I made earlier. This is the view that you get when you're using Standout Presenter View in Microsoft Teams. As you can see, I'm standing in front of a PowerPoint. The reason I had to pre-record this is because this is a very, very new feature in Teams. And at the moment, it's only available within a normal Teams meeting, not a Teams Live event. So as we're doing a Teams Live event for this webinar, I was unable to show you live, but you can see in this recording how it looks. If I just play that video again, you'll see that with Standout Presenter View, you can appear in front of your PowerPoint content as if you're standing up in front of a boardroom in the office and present through your content as you would normally. You can also appear in front of any of the content that you would normally share in a Teams meeting. So whether that is a PowerPoint, an Excel sheet, or a website. So I've got an example here where I'm in front of our Bedrock website. So you can use it to show any example of any of the content you would normally want to share with your audience in a meeting. So let's take a look at how and also why we might want to do this. Meeting attendees tend to be more focused and have a better experience when their presenter is inside or alongside their presentation. So as if you're in a room in the office, it's much easier to understand what your presenter is saying and take it in if you're getting the visual clues that the presenter is giving you alongside the content, instead of having to look between two videos or two sections of content on a screen. So in order to use this new Standout Presenter mode, you see there is a number 1 circled on the screen there. That's the content share button. So that's the button you would usually click anyway to share content within a Teams meeting. So you click that first. Underneath that appears in box 2, presenter mode. So this gives you the 2 options that are currently available for presenting content within a Teams meeting. On the left, that's the standard view. So that's what you're probably used to right now, where you just share the content and appear in a video screen alongside it. The button to the right is the new Standout Presenter mode, which will allow you to appear in front of your presentation, like I did in the example on the previous slide. After you've chosen that presenter mode, you then click on the next option in box 3, which again you're probably used to as you share content normally within Teams. You can choose to either share the full screen, which will then allow you to scroll through multiple options of content to share, or just pick one window, which is useful if you just want to share one PowerPoint in that share option. It's important to note as well that with the new Standout Presenter mode, Teams will always default back to the standard option. So if you do want to appear in front of your content, you have to make sure you select the button on the right underneath presenter mode to appear in front of your content. But then again, if you don't want to appear in front of your content, Teams isn't just going to throw you out there, and you're not going to suddenly appear if you don't want to. So that's worth bearing in mind when you're playing about with these new features. Next up, we're taking a look at one of the sync integrations between Outlook and Teams. This is a new one that we are actually using ourselves, so you can see my email here. This is a screenshot from Teams where we've embedded our Outlook email within the main menu, and you can access all of your Outlook email options within that screen. So you can do everything that you would normally do within Outlook, but without leaving Teams at all. So you can open your email, answer email, forward everything you could possibly want to do with regards to your email, you can do without leaving Teams at all. Adam, I was wondering if I could get your input on this. It seems to me like Microsoft are desperate for us to just use Teams for everything. Do you think it's likely that in some point in the future we will stop using separate apps and just use Teams by itself?
Yeah, despite what Microsoft might want, no. Each tool has its strengths and weaknesses. I think this move's about choice. It's about surfacing that data easily and quickly where you're used to working, and not having, in certain circumstances, and not having an extra app installed and being able to access everything there. I don't think it's we'll never get away from Outlook, just because it's more powerful, ultimately.
Yeah, and it's not as if Microsoft are going to stop updating those separate apps either. It's they'll continue updating those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so that's an option available. Like Adam said there, it's personal choice. You may want to have everything within Teams. You may enjoy having everything separately. It's completely open option still. Next up, another sync between Outlook and Teams. This time, sharing tasks between Outlook and Teams. So you can see here, we're within the Teams screen, and there's an option to share a Teams conversation to your Outlook. So this is useful for a number of reasons, but I think most importantly is that when you've got different projects going on, different conversations between teams, it can be really easy to actually miss some important information that's going on, especially if there's two different chains of conversation, one on Outlook, one on Teams. You've got emails going everywhere, Teams chats going everywhere. It can be difficult sometimes to stay on top of everything. So you see here, this video playthrough is showing you that if you're in Teams and you want to share a particular chat, you can click on the three dots in that chat bubble, select Share to Outlook from the menu button, just there, and choose who you want to send that email to. So you can draw a conversation item to someone's attention, you can send it to yourself, you can keep everything in one place and just keep everything much easier to control in terms of a wider ranging project. So you can do that from Teams to Outlook. The next slide will show you how you can do it the opposite way, from Outlook to Teams. In this instance, there is a new Share to Teams button in the main menu on Outlook. All you have to do is select the email that you want to share, select the Share to Teams button, and this pop-up will appear, which allows you to tell Outlook which Teams chat you want that email to go to. And then you can see here in the video, it will then appear. As you can see in this demo as well, any email that you send, if it has attachments in it, those attachments will also appear in Teams where you send them to. So again, it's a good way of keeping everything together, whether you prefer everything in Teams or everything in Outlook. Either way, you can keep everything all together at the same time. Next up, this is another big release from Microsoft, just coming soon and being released recently. It is the new scheduler tool for Microsoft 365. Scheduler has been made with the aim of taking all the hassle out of organising your diary and arranging meetings between multiple different people, whether they're inside your organisation and also external contractors, external staff who don't have access to your diary. Scheduler allows you, well, it does it for you. It emails attendees, it organises Teams meetings, it finds meeting times to suit everyone, and it even reschedules meetings should there be a clash. I don't know about you, but since we've all been working from home more and since lockdown and everything, meetings have definitely increased. As you can't just wander past someone in the office and grab their attention, people are putting in requests for meetings to get more jobs done. And in actual fact, a study has shown that weekly meetings have increased by 148% in that time. More worryingly than that, that same study showed that meetings on average take between 6 and 29 minutes to schedule. Obviously, that's not just clicking add to Outlook. That includes all the backwards and forwards of trying to find a time that suits everybody. So that time could be used much better if you're able to focus on your job instead of trying to organise meetings. That's what Scheduler is here to do. Scheduler enables you to easily schedule a meeting with people inside of your organisation because it has access to everybody's Outlook calendars. It sees the same information that you'll be able to see if you did it manually. It can see people's calendars, can see whether they're busy or available. So it uses that information to organise a time that suits everybody and puts it into everybody's diary. And it can do that any time of day, 24/7, rescheduling, arranging, going backwards and forwards to check everyone's on the right time. Even more interestingly than that, it can do the same for external people. So whereas when you're organising a meeting with people internal to your organisation and you can see when they're busy and when they're available, you can't always do that with external people. What Scheduler can do is use natural language processing to send an email to the person you want to arrange a meeting with, and it will find a time in their diary that suits them as well. So it can check your diary, send them options for meeting times. It will then get a response from them, whether in any of those work, or it can propose a new time to suit both of you. If I move to the next slide, I'll show you an example of how it can do this. So you can see on the left in the phone view, we've got someone called Robin who's trying to organise a meeting with someone called Henry. All they have had to do is CC Cortana in. Cortana is the assistant to Scheduler that will organise your calendar for you. And all you can see is Robin has written, let's work together on our marketing plan. Cortana, help us find a time next week for a Teams call. That's it. That's all the input Robin has to do to get this meeting sorted. Cortana then uses natural language processing, so you don't have to use any special technical language for it to pick that up. And you can see the email on the right is the email that Cortana then sends to Henry to arrange this meeting. So you can see it says, I'm helping Robin schedule a 30-minute meeting for you both. Here are some proposed times. So those proposed times are available spaces within Robin's calendar that he would be able to meet. And obviously Cortana has picked up that it knows that they need a 30-minute meeting. Is then offered those times to Henry and given him the option. So you could say any of those times work, in which case Cortana will just pick one of those and schedule it in. He can pick one of those times, and again, Cortana will schedule that in for both of them. Or he can come back and suggest a different time. So if none of those work, he can suggest a different time. Cortana will be able to use that information to check if that works for Robin. And it will go backwards and forwards. It does all that horrible, boring stuff that you usually end up doing manually, but it will do it all for you. And then once a consensus has been reached on the timing, it will put that into both participants' calendars. So yeah, that's the new backend service that provides scheduling intelligence, and it can be enabled by your Microsoft 365 administrator. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those things that it sounds simple on the surface, but it can actually save you a long time, a lot of time in the long run. So yeah, really interesting. Moving on, we're going back to Teams now. And this is one of the simpler updates, but it's quite a nice little feature. Chat bubbles in Teams meetings. This is one of the updates that's been out for a little bit longer than the others we've been discussing, so you may have already seen it. All it is instead of chat appearing within the chat pane, it will also appear in a bubble over the top of people's video. So you can see where I've put a yellow rectangle around that chat bubble there. They'll appear, pop up, be there for a few seconds, and then go away again. It can be nice if you've got a more informal meeting, a team get together, for example, and you want to make sure no one misses out on what's going on in the chat. So that's something that's quite nice to do. It is important to say, if that seems annoying and you want to turn it off, it is possible. It's very easy to switch off that function as well. So if you had a more formal meeting where you think that's not appropriate to have chat bubbles popping up all over the place, you can very easily turn this feature off as well. Next up, external group chat. So in my role, I actually use Teams to chat with a lot of people who are not only within Bedrock, but I also work with external designers and people like that. So it's important for me that I have the opportunity to chat with all these people within one single platform. Again, so everybody's on the same page with what's going on, what I need them to do, or what they need me to do. So external chat is something that has always been available. You have always been able to chat with external people. But the update is that you will no longer need to switch between tenants to be able to access these chats. So this is useful if perhaps you're a contractor yourself and you work with multiple different organizations, you have multiple different Teams tenants available to you. You no longer have to switch between them to keep up with the chats going on with each different group. They will now appear within your Teams site itself. It's just, again, another time-saving measure. Make sure you're not missing out on anything and keeps everybody up to date with what's going on. If that sounds of interest to you, I'll just do a little reminder of how to add an external contact into a group chat. In any of your chat panels, you will see a button on the top right, which looks like the two little people with a plus sign. That is your add participant button. You can use that to add any number of people, just one or multiples, and then it will give you the options whether you want them to see the full chat history of what's been going on up until this point, a limited amount of time, perhaps they only need to see the last few messages to get an idea of what's going on, or you can just start them afresh with in that team and they don't need to see any of the chat history at all. So that's just a useful feature. If you're adding someone new to the team, they don't always necessarily need to see the whole content of the chat, so you can choose which option is best for them. This external user chat works for up to 250 participants, so you can have an enormous chat going on if you felt the need, and it's easily done. It works within Microsoft Teams Connect, and it allows multiple users from multiple organizations to chat as if they are within the same Teams tenant. So those are our favorite things that we've covered so far. There's updates within Microsoft 365 for July. If any of those sound like they could be useful for your team, or perhaps they've just got you wondering, are you using your technology to its full extent? That's where our IT strategy review could come in handy for you. We've devised a simple way to gain board level consensus on what's important, what can be fixed right now, and where you need a plan to perhaps change things. The IT strategic review that we're able to conduct, it only takes an afternoon, and it will give you the facts you need to make a positive change within your organisation, whether that's to adopt new technology, just change the way you're using your existing technology, or brief brief a new technology provider, whether that's Bedrock or that's someone else. You're not bound to stick with us just because we've conducted a review for you. It's also useful, we found, to allow people to renegotiate with their existing suppliers. So perhaps you're paying for certain things and you're not sure what they're for. By conducting a review, we can let you know whether you're using everything to its full extent and whether you're indeed you need to be paying that much for your business requirements. We work with CEOs and other business leaders to figure out where the gaps might be in their current setup, and then map technology to match their business goals. At the end of this strategy review, you'll get a maturity index, which just lets you know to what extent your technology is supporting your business goals and what could be done to improve that even further. Okay, we've got time for some Q&As. I've seen Adam having a look at some questions going on.
Yes. Debbie asked a question around saying that she found presenter mode distracting. And that's just down to the way that Teams works out what should be and shouldn't be shown.
Yeah.
If it uses some algorithms to try and calculate depth, basically, and it works out where you're supposed to be and whether it can whether it should show you or not.
Is that why your hand sometimes disappears? If
that's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. And ultimately, there's no way around that. Having a higher power PC, having a better camera, all help with that kind of thing. But it's never going to be perfect, at least not until they've done a lot of work on the algorithms.
Exactly. And I mean, this presenter view is very new, so it'll be interesting to see how many people do take it up. It might be something that's, you know, it looks all shiny and new at the start. Maybe people don't like it. We'll see how it goes.
Yes. We used it internally very recently. Actually had our MD stood up in front of the camera, and he moved around a little bit, which is the way he works. And it worked very well. It cut him out very nicely and put him in front of it for our remote participants, and it worked very well.
There's still time to get some questions in if you want to add any more questions for myself or Adam. I was wondering, Adam, actually, many of Bedrock's clients are already using Microsoft 365 and these programs when we meet them. How many would you say are using them to their fullest extent?
I would say not a one. And that's not in a disparaging way. The breadth of tools available is massive. And not very many organizations feel the need to use them all. So part of the work that we do is working out which bits of the tools they are using, and then ensuring that they're only paying for the bits that they need to use or they want to use. The difference between an E5 license and an E3 license is something like £15 per user per month. And if they're not using any of the features of the E5, get rid of the E5. You don't need it. Save yourself a bunch of money. If at a later date you go, actually, I want to use these extra features, then you bolt it on. And that's part and parcel of the work that we do when we do the strategic assessment and the review afterwards.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like you say, I think it's easier to build from the ground up, isn't it? Add things as you need them rather than starting with the whole shiny package and overpaying. Exactly. Debbie's just asked, how did Cortana know you wanted a 30 minutes meeting? That was actually in the email that was originally sent to plan the meeting. So using that natural language processing, all that had to be done was in that initial email. I think, who was it? Robin. Robin said, we need 30 minutes next week to catch up on this marketing plan. Cortana can see that, can read into that, and will know then that she needs to find a 30-minute gap to plan for that meeting. So it's as simple as that, really. You just tell the technology what you want and it will sort it out for you. So I think we kind of covered already, Adam, about sort of budgets and stuff. What percentage of businesses do you think are wasting their budgets by overpaying for things they don't actually use or need?
I think most are, but to varying degrees. In some instances, it'll be a couple of pounds per month. In some instances, I've come across it's hundreds of pounds per month that are being spent on licenses that aren't necessary. And sometimes there are reasons behind doing it, but generally it's point it out and then let it's part and parcel of the way we do the assessment is point it out and then let the business make the right business decision. We don't go in with a big stick. It's letting people know what they've got and what they're paying for and what they could potentially save.
Yeah, that's the idea, I think, and that's what hopefully we can see within that strategic review as well.
Exactly.
Okay, someone else has asked, when will Scheduler and the Cortana feature be available? It is launching literally now, so it's becoming available as we speak. As with all things Microsoft, they get launched in sort of phases, but it should be available very, very soon if it's not already. And your Microsoft administrator will be able to access everything you need to be able to get into using it and switching it on for your organisation. Okay, let's have a look at what's coming up for the next webinar. Our next webinar will be on the 5th of August, and it will be following one of Microsoft's major parties of the year, which is called Microsoft Inspire. At Microsoft Inspire, Microsoft let all the partners, such as Bedrock, know what they've got planned for the coming year, and they often throw a few curveballs in there as well that are complete surprises of amazing technology that they're working on. So our next webinar will cover some of the stuff that is talked about at Inspire, so we can let you know as soon as we know what's coming up and what there is to look forward to. So if you would like to join us for that one, please do register. The event is live for registrations now on our website, and we'll also be sending out an email about it very soon. So we hope to see you there. Other than that, I think that's everything covered, Adam. So we'll say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks to everyone for attending. Hope to see you again soon.